Welcome to the course. So what is UNIX? UNIX, it's an operating system. You may be using a Windows PC, a Mac machine, or watching this video from your mobile device. Each device is running an operating system, and in this course, you'll get to learn how to operate UNIX OS. For each operating system to run, it needs a few key hardware components. First is the CPU, or the central processing unit. It is the brain of your computer. Unix operating systems, they rely on CPU too to operate successfully. So let's look at the next key component. It's the memory. Memory is the physical device capable of storing information temporarily, and Unix systems heavily utilize it. Let's look at the third key component. It's a hard disk. Hard disk is basically a storage device in your computer. The operating system and all the softwares are saved on it, and any files or directories that you create, call this device their home. So lastly, a network adapter or a network card. It is required for your system to access the network or the internet. It is considered a key component. So these are all the key components that make the OS or the operating system run smoothly. That's it for this presentation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Alright, to install VirtualBox on your Windows machine, first open up a web browser. In the address bar, type in virtualbox.org. Click on Downloads. Select Windows Hosts. And this will go ahead and start downloading the exe file for you. Okay, once the download is complete, you can double click on the VirtualBox exe file. And go ahead and close the browser. So for the installation part, we're going to leave all the defaults, so you can go ahead and click Next. Leave defaults here, click Next. Next again, yes, and install. And yes again. Alright, once the installation is complete, you can go ahead and click on Finish. This will open up VirtualBox for the first time. And there you have it. Now we have Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager installed on your Windows machine. You can go ahead and click X to close it out. If you want to open this virtual VM again, you can double click on the icon on your desktop, or in your start menu, you can search for VirtualBox and double click on the VirtualBox icon, and you will get to the same point. Well, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. To install VirtualBox on your Mac machine, first open up a web browser. In the address bar, type in virtualbox.org. And you can click on this Download VirtualBox button. Select OS X hosts and click OK to open up the DMG file. And once the download is complete, it will automatically start opening or verifying the DMG package. You can close the browser at this time. Once the package is verified by macOS, this will open up a new dialog box. You can double click on this virtualbox.package file icon. Click Continue. Click Continue again. And you will click on Install. This will prompt you to enter your password. And so go ahead and enter your macOS password, and this will start the installation of the VirtualBox on your Mac machine. And at this time, you can also close this dialog box. Alright, once the installation is complete, you can simply click on Close. And you can click on Move to Trash to remove the DMG file that it downloaded from the internet. Now if you want to open up VirtualBox again, click on the magnifying glass to open up Spotlight and type in VirtualBox and double click on the VirtualBox application. And there you have it. So you have VirtualBox installed on your MacBook, and you can go ahead and click the Close button and thank you for stopping by. I will see you in the next video. Welcome back. In this short video, I'm going to show you how you can change the host key combination. So if you're a first-time user with Oracle VirtualBox, you might have noticed that every time you click on the console for the server that you're working on, this will take over your cursor, or this will take control of your mouse and keyboard. So in order for you to release that, you will have to click on the Alt key in my example, or by default on Windows or VirtualBoxes, this key is your right control key. If you're a Mac user, this will be your command key, your left command key to be precise. So there's a way you can change this. You can make it your tab key or your shift key on your keyboard to be the cursor release button. So the way you can change that is you go back to the virtual manager, click on tools, click on preferences, select input, and go to the virtual machine tab. And here the first line in my case is host key combination, and I have mine to be the Alt key on my keyboard. Now if you want to change this to something else, all you have to do is click to the right of host key combination and press any other button on your keyboard. Let's say if I want to change mine to a shift key, I will press shift once. And if I click OK, notice that from Alt, it is going to change to shift. Now if I go back to my server and I click into my console, you see the mouse disappeared. Now the console has taken over. Well, I can press my shift key and this will give me the cursor back. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to download CentOS version 8 from the internet. So first thing that you need to do is open up a web browser. In the address bar, type in centos.org. Once the page opens up, select Get CentOS Now and click on the CentOS Linux DVD ISO button. These are all the available mirrors that are closest to your area. You can select any one of these links to download the ISO image. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, and this will go ahead and start the download process. This is a large file. It can take about an hour or less to download. It also depends on your internet speed. Alright, now that the file has finished downloading, if you want to access it, simply click on the up arrow, click show in folder, and this will open up your downloads folder. If you want to move it to your desktop, simply right click on it, click copy, go to your desktop, right click and paste. This will copy the file over to your desktop as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Once you're done with everything, you can simply close the browser, and you can close the browser for CentOS download as well. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next video. Alright, so in this video, we are actually going to install CentOS version 8 to our VirtualBox, and we'll have a live server at the end of this video. So first, go ahead and open up VirtualBox application. Click on New to create a new virtual machine. For the name of this machine, I'm going to call it CentOS version 8. You can also call it a test server, a dev server, or anything that you personally like. For everything else, we're going to leave this as default and simply click on Next. For the memory size, the recommendation is 1024 MB for this VM. We can add more memory to it, or we can actually drop the number down. We're going to go with the default for now, which is 1024. If we want to change, add, or remove memory from this VM, and we can always do that later on in this video, even after the server has been built. For now, 1024 is fine. Let's go and click Next. We are going to create a new hard disk for this VM that we will use to install the ISO on. Let's click on Create a new virtual hard disk now and click Create. There are 3 types of storage types that VirtualBox supports. We can go with VDI, which is a VirtualBox disk image, and click on Next. There are 2 different types of storages that we could map to this VM. We can either go with the dynamically allocated storage. What that means is that this VM will create a 8 GB or 10 GB block on your hard disk, but it's only going to use the space that the VM actually needs to run successfully. If it does not need, let's say if it only uses 4 GB, the VM is not going to use more than 4 GB of that disk space. Let's say an application on your computer needs more disk space. This VM will release the remaining disk space to the other application. But if you were to go with a fixed size is going to create a dedicated storage block on your hard disk. Now, let's say if we chose 10 GB for the hard disk, this is not going to release that storage to any other application on your machine. This will strictly leave that 8 GB or 10 GB space for this VM only. So what I would recommend you do is create on dynamically allocated storage and click next. The default recommended size is only 8 GB, but I will bump this up a little. Let's go with 10 GB in size for the hard disk and click on create. Now it has created the VM, but before we actually install the OS to this VM, we still have to do a few more tweaks, and we can do that by clicking on the settings button here. Okay, under the general tab, if you want to change the name of your VM, you could do that here. We're going to go to systems, and here if you wanted to increase the memory size, before we selected 1 GB, let's move this up to 2 GB. Under the processor tab, currently it has 1 CPU assigned. Let's give it 1 more CPU and bump it up to 2 total. Now let's click on storage. For storage, we already have a CentOS version 8 disk created, which is a 10 GB disk that we created. We actually need to mount this ISO image to the VM that we are trying to build. So click on this empty CD and click on the DVD with the drop-down arrow. Click on choose a disk file. Now you will try to find where the ISO image is located. I saved mine on my desktop. I'll click on desktop and select the image that I need to mount. Click open to mount the DVD. For the network, you would scroll to the network tab, and this VM only needs 1 adapter, but we need to change the network type or the adapter type from NAT to a bridged adapter. The bridged adapter would allow this VM to reach the outside world. Let's say if you want to ping Google or Yahoo.com, this connection here, the bridged adapter, will allow that connection. If you do not make this setting, if you leave this as NAT only, this will not allow this VM to reach outside of your VM. So I highly recommend that you change it to bridged adapter and click OK to save your settings. Alright, now let's click on Start to power on the VM for the first time. And this will open up a console session to the server. When you get to the Startup Disk menu, you're going to click on this drop-down arrow and select the ISO image that we mounted earlier to this VM and click on Start. You can go ahead and click on X to close this message. And to make the console window a little larger, you have to click on View, Virtual Screen, and I will scale it to 200%. This will make the console window a bit larger and easier to read. Now if you notice that the automatic boot will start in about 30 seconds, you can click on the console window and press the up or down arrow key. This will disable that clock. Now when you're ready to boot, press the up arrow and select Install CentOS Linux 8 and hit Enter. This will start booting the server using the DVD image that we mounted. You can also close any of these informational messages that pop up. Here we will select English as the default language that we'll use during the installation process. Click Continue to go to the next screen. Okay, so the first thing that we need to change is the software selection. So we are now going to build a server with a GUI, or in other words, a graphical user interface. So let's click on software selection and change it to server. There are other options that we can select too, but for our exercise, we're just going to build a basic server. Once you have this selected, click on Done to continue. Now we are going to select the installation destination. So click on this, and we will select the 10 GB hard disk that we created earlier in the process. So select the hard disk that you want to use and click on Done. So the last thing that we need to do is select the network for the server. So click on Network and Hostname. We already mapped a network adapter to the server. All we need to do here is simply turn it on. So click on this button here. Now the network has been connected. You could see the speed is 1000 megabytes per second and the server has been assigned an IP address. Please do make a note of this IP address. We are going to need this later on in the course. We will leave the host name as localhost for now and click on Done to go back to the old screen. Here you could also change the time zone to your local city. I'm going to leave this as default at New York and simply click on Begin Installation to start the installation process. Meanwhile, we can set the root password for this operating system or OS, and we can also create a local user if we want to. So let's start off by creating the root password that we are going to need to log into this server. Click on root password, and you can set the password to anything that you like. Once you're done setting the password, click on Done to go back to the previous screen. We are going to create a new local user. It is not required. You can do that if you like. Once you're done creating the local user, click on Done to go back to the previous screen. So the system is now going to install a bunch of RPMs, about 596 to be exact. This can be a lengthy process and it will take about 20 to 25 minutes to complete. So I'm going to skip the video towards the end, and once the system is done, we'll have to reboot. Alright, so the installation is now complete. We can go ahead and reboot the machine, and this will boot the server up for the first time. Let's go ahead and click on Reboot. Okay, so it looks like we'll have to unmount the DVD first that we used to install the CentOS server. So click on Devices and select Optical Drives and click on Remove Disk from Virtual Drive. Click on First Unmount. Now click on Machine and select Reset. And select Reset again. Okay, now the server is up and we are at the login prompt. The default user ID will be root, ROOT. Type that in and hit enter. Now it's going to ask you for the password that we created during the installation process. Go ahead and enter that in and hit enter. This will log you into the server. You can run uptime to see how long the server has been up. Right now it's only been up for a minute. And that's it for this video. Now you know how to install and build a CentOS version 8 box. In the next video, we'll download PuTTY to access the server remotely with a SSH connection. Thank you for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video. Alright, there are two ways that you can use to access your server. First is you can access it by opening up a console session from the VirtualBox Manager. For example, if I minimize this window, and if I want to open up a console, I will click on my server and click on Show. This will open up the console window where we were at a second ago. But there's another way for you to access the server, and that's through PuTTY. PuTTY will allow you to have multiple sessions open to your server at any given time if you wanted to. But the console, on the other hand, does not allow you to have multiple sessions open. It strictly allows you to have one session open at any time. So it's a single user mode, not multi-user enabled. So let's go ahead and download PuTTY, and I'll walk you through the steps. Open up your web browser, and in the address bar, type in putty.org. Once you get to this page, you can click on this link here. This will take you to the download page for PuTTY. So once this page loads up, scroll down a bit, and under putty.exe, we're going to need to download the 64-bit version. So click on putty.exe here, and this will download the file. Once the download is complete, you can click on this up arrow and click on Show in Folder. So the PuTTY was downloaded under your Downloads folder. Let's move it to your desktop. So right click on it, click on Copy, go to your desktop, right click on your desktop, and click on Paste. This will copy PuTTY over to your desktop as well. So let's exit out of this Explorer. Let's close the browser as well. Now on your desktop, you see that there's a PuTTY icon. Double click on your PuTTY icon. Let's move this to the left a bit. If you have the IP address of your server, go ahead and enter that now. But let's say if you forgot the IP address, I will show you how to collect that again. Go back to your console for your server, type in root as a user ID, and enter the password for root. Once you're logged in, type in ifconfig /a pipe grep inet and hit enter. So this is your IP address, 192.168.203.146 in my example. You might have a different IP address depending on your system. So enter the IP address here manually that you see on your console. It's 192.168.203.146 and click on Open. Now it's asking you to enter the user ID that you want to access the server with. You're going to type in root and hit enter. Let's enter the password for the root ID. Once you are done, press enter, and this will log you into the server. Alright, if you want to open up another session to the server, right click on this top bar, either select a new session or duplicate session. I'll go with new. Enter the IP address again. So it's 192.168.203.146 and click on open. Enter the user ID, which is root, and enter the password for the root ID and press enter. Okay, I'm connected to the server twice using the PuTTY sessions. Perfect, so now that we can access our servers through PuTTY, I don't need the console window open anymore. So I'll go back to the console, type in exit, and enter. This will log me out from the console session. I can simply click on minimize to minimize the window. This will leave the server running in the backend. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back. So now that we have downloaded PuTTY, there are still a few more changes that we can do to customize it, and it will be easier for us to work on anytime we're accessing our server. So before you do that, you need to first get the IP address for your server. Let's open up VirtualBox, click on your server, and click on Show. This will open up the console window. Log into your server by typing in the root ID and the password for root. Once you're logged in, type in ifconfig-a pipegrip inet. This will show you the IP addresses for your server. The one that we're interested in is the first one, which starts with 192.168.203.146. That's the IP address for my server. You could have a different IP address based on your machine. So I'm going to make a note of this and move the console window to the right. Now open up PuTTY by double-clicking on the application. So the first thing that we are going to change is the default background color and the font color. So go to Colors and select Default Foreground. This will be the color of your font. So click on Modify. Right now, it has selected a little grayish color. We're going to click on this arrow and scroll it all the way down until it's completely black. Now click on OK to save your changes. The next color that we are going to change is the background color. Click on Default Background and click on Modify. For the background color, we're going to move this arrow all the way up to white. Once you're done, click on OK. Now go and click on Session. So what we are going to do here is we are going to save the IP address for our server and we'll leave it as a saved session. So next time when we open up PuTTY, we can simply double click on the saved server session and that will load all the settings that we had saved previously. So type in the IP address for your server. In my case, it's 192.168.203 and 146. Here, I'm going to call it my CentOS version 8 server and click on Save. So it saved our server as one of the saved sessions. We can click on Open to open the new session to our server. Here, you notice that the background color, it changed from black to completely white, and the text was changed from a little grayish color to black. I personally find that this is easier on my eyes to read. You can go ahead and play around more if you want to change it to a different color scheme. Alright, I'm happy with the changes that I've made. I'm going to type in root as a user ID, press enter, and type in the password for root, and hit enter again. Now I'm logged into my server. Let's type uptime, and this will tell you how long the server has been up. In my case, it's been up for 2 hours and 40 minutes. If I go to my console now and type in the same command, it will give me the same output, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Let's go ahead and minimize our console window and go back to our server. Okay, so we are going to open up a new PuTTY session. Let's double click on the PuTTY application icon and double click on the CentOS version 8 server to open up a new session. Type in root for the user ID and your root password. This will log you into the server. And all our previously saved customizations for font and the background are still intact. Well, this is it for this lecture. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.